America!
Oh, Rog, you got my workout in. It's the widest stage we've ever had.
This stage is bigger than Qatar.
Release the Falcons! Oh, Rog. Oh. It's only day 7 of the 2022 World Cup.
Somehow, it feels like it started 6 months ago.
But on this, day 7 of the 2022 World Cup, live, and in Roger's case, just barely alive. Rog, I got to say this. Rog, we went to bed last night, and Rog said, not together. We're not like Bert and Ernie. We don't sleep in the same room.
That'd be amazing if we were like Bert
I know, we
and
really
Ernie.
should. That's what we'd, back in the early days. And Rog says, I'm not getting up for the early game. Not getting up for the early game, not watching it. By 7 o'clock this morning, Rog had released a 7-part pod series on the early game. Australia versus Tunisia. It's a banging series, Rog. Very nice. But anyway, just barely alive at this point in the tournament journey, live from the Capitol turnaround in Washington, D.C. It's the Men in Blazers This Cup's for You World Cup Tour!
Soccer's coming home! And home is Washington, D.C., a.k.a. the #1 ratings market in the US for the Premier League.
Yeah. Shout out to Nielsen. A city of two loves, politics and football.
And to be honest, FIFA has those exact same loves, Davo. But without the football.
And much more money. Much more money in envelopes. Anyway, stick to DC, Rog. A city designed by Pierre l'Enfant in 1791 to create an official capital for this nation of ours.
Oh, Pierre, greatest enfant since Christian Pulisic.
Mid-tour Rog. There's nothing like mid-tour Rog.
That's mid-tour Rog. I've aged.
We needed a capital city, Roger, that fit our system. We are... Let that land. We are overjoyed to be here with all of you tonight. What a city, truly. The only city in the world that loves Wolf Blitzer as much as we do at Men in Blazers.
I don't know what that heckle was, but I'd just like to believe that was... Oh, boy! And you boys need to go straight into the Situation Room. What a singular city this is. One that was too pure, too good, and too incorruptible for FIFA to stain by granting it a World Cup game.
Yeah.
Can I say, FIFA, you knobs, I know you're listening. Do you not understand that Bruce Bloody Arena built this city?
I built this city. I love that.
Oh, regular listeners know that I moved here to Washington, D.C., to Adams Morgan in 1996. I didn't know I was bald yet, but I was.
Yeah. Problems in multiple sectors.
Yeah. I had 4 of the happiest years of my life here. Just living Columbia, Colorama, watching early morning Premier League football at the Lucky Bar. Fouling opponents in pub leagues all over the DMV. I never understood why Americans are always like, my bad, when they play football. Just get stuck in, lad. I reveled in the Rod Strickland era bullets. That's a human being. What an incredible bloke. Ole Kolzig, they're capitals of that era. I drank it up at the Big Hunt and the Toledo Lounge, which is where I met my wife.
Oh. Every bar you frequented is now out of business, Roger.
Curse of Rog is not only limited to the football, David.
Yeah. Despite that, this is a place built on historic institutions, the Library of Congress, the Supreme Court, and half smokes at Ben's Chili Bowl.
Trying to work out what those pants were. I never wear pleats. And we want to pay tribute to another DC institution before we start this show, to the incredible Doreen Gensler, who just retired after 33 years anchoring the WRC news desk, 28 of those alongside the late, great Jim Vance, our DC North Star. Part of the best back four this country's ever produced. Doreen, Vance as a centre-backs, Bob Ryan and George Michael right and left back. They were unstoppable. But Doreen is a journalist who's been with us so much through the years, and we raise a bud to you tonight, Doreen.
No, I love it. Rog, I know we have said this before, but it bears repeating. The DMV is one of the greatest trailblazingest football hotbeds in America, not to mention the incredible teams right here in this city. Andy Sullivan's 2021 NWSL Championship winning Washington Spirit!
And that joyful, ruiniest collection of footballing squads, DC Bloody United. Wayne Rooney, my mate, quickly grown into a DC institution himself, a bit like a footballing Strom Thurmond. I just love saying the word Strom Thurmond, by the way. There's never, Davo, in the history of England, do you think there's ever been a single Englishman called Strom? I digress. That's for my other podcast, Today in Stroms.
Yeah.
But Wayne, God bless you now, proper DC.
We got a big show for you all tonight. We're so glad to be in this city. We come to commune with you. We come to celebrate.
We come to remind ourselves that even though we didn't win yesterday, Washington, D.C.'s very existence stands proof that we've won against England before.
Yeah.
And we will again. And we will again. Viva la revolution. You can't keep a good country down. But most importantly, we come to feast on the incredible footballing community that exists in this glorious city. And we want to make collective memories with all of you on this night of nights.
And to start those memories, let's be having you up. Let's be having a photo. Hold up your ESPN signs.
As Delia Smith would say, let's be having you, Washington, D.C. Signs up, beers up, whatever you've got up.
It's amazing.
I always feel very rude showing you my buttocks at that point in the show. It's kind of it's a very personal connection we have in that moment.
I just love the fact this is so suboptimal as a podcast. We are the only podcast who now we are also broadcasting live on Twitch, where we stop the show to do still photography. I love that. Very Blazers.
And we don't put it out as a photograph. We then send it out to be etched into stone by a carver. It's how we roll old school.
Okay, Rochelio, can you kick this whole thing off with a toast, please?
I can. On the day in which the World Cup was dominated by Lewandowski, Mbappe, Lionel Messi, the true greats, I want to raise my first third bud of the day to John Herdman and his Canadian team. The night before, they take the field against Croatia in a massive, massive clash. I want to say I admire John Herdman so bloody much, his journey, his brain, his wonder. And I loved his comments after the loss that felt like a win against Belgium, in which he told his team to, quote, F Croatia. And I'm not sure if he thought them through or if he really workshopped them with his PR team.
No one will be listening. No one will see this.
Rather predictably, they didn't go down so well in Croatia, where the media, I'm sure you've seen them, have unleashed... We've been told these are Photoshops, but we're not sure if they are Photoshops. They could be phone hacks. We're not quite sure. If you are listening at home on a podcast, just imagine John Herdman, totally nude, with a tiny, tiny Canadian flag covering his genitalia. And Herdman both laughed it off in the press conference today, saying that my wife wishes she had that guy.
Yeah, workout goals.
He said, because I've got a bit of a gut now. And the only text he's had from her is to work out before he comes home. But he also admitted, and I love this too, he said, I will learn from that one. He said, I was a bit too honest. This is my first World Cup. Honestly, I admired him all the more for that. You've got to think about it. It takes a special leader in our era of doubling down on your bullshit to, ahead of a seismic clash, his project, his team, his stakes so high, to, become the story. And what he did, instead of upping the ante, which is what he's meant to do, he diffused the moment with candor. He admitted a mistake with charm and authenticity and a touch of humility. Having said that, I believe it'll have zero impact on the Croatian media and their hell-bent national mission, not just to destroy John Herdman, but to avenge their honour by destroying Canada and the whole letter F. But to our Canadian cousins, you are the kings of CONCACAF. I admire you so much and wish you courage, make great memories tomorrow, you beautiful Canucks.
Yeah. There you go. I love it. To the football, Roger. Starting with Argentina 2, Mexico 0. It's a game of football with plenty of atmos, and we know that Fox Sports loves atmos. They just love the atmos. Thanks in large part, even if they've got to bring it in and make it happen themselves. Thanks in large part to the pressure being heaped on this Argentina team and Lionel Messi after that opening game loss to Saudi Arabia. It wasn't going to be a real uphill battle if they didn't deliver here, but thankfully for all the Messi stands, including us, they did. And it was that diminutive magician who delivered glory, sending a 64th minute quick release shot into the corner, past Memo Ochoa. Enzo Fernandez added a beautiful second, and order is somewhat restored for the Albiceleste.
Oh, it wasn't a must-win, but it did feel like one, didn't it? A draw would have meant they needed to beat Poland by 2 goals on Wednesday, but it did feel awfully dark when we tuned in. It was like we were all going to see something that's been so wonderful, so adorable, that's given us all so much transcendent wonder through the years, just slowly fade away like an Argentinian bing-bong tragically disappearing in the memory dump. Would Lionel Messi go gentle into that Doha night? Or would he burn and rave like Lallis at the close of day? Mexico, though, they knew they'd faced Argentina 3 times before at the World Cup, and they'd lost every bloody time. They had to do something very different. And I'm not going to lie, the highlight of the first half was essentially the national anthems. We had ourselves a real anthem off.
Yeah.
I mean, the Argentinian national anthem, Davo, it lulls you into thinking that it's a slow jam. And then suddenly, no, wish you away into a land of rampant glory. 10 out of 10, you're feeling all the emotions.
Yeah. And the Argentinian players are just ready to just have at it after that anthem.
It's slow build peaks, right?
Yeah.
It's what you want in an anthem. Mexico's, though, I love Mexico. But their anthem is a straight-up banger. And the players scream it, sob through it. They're almost emotionally shattered by the end of its 2 minutes.
Way too emotional. Oh. Way too emotional.
I mean, I was watching it, and I was seeing 11 men who felt that just by singing their own anthem, they had sailed many oceans. They'd explored many new lands. They'd lived many lives. They'd fought wars, conquered nations. Almost too much. At the end of it, they looked shattered.
Yeah.
Shattered.
They were in no state to play football.
Get into formation, lads. We're like, I think that is I would tactically look into that.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's why I do think this is a complete segue. Our boys should take the field to Tracy Chapman Fastcott. It's just like, I do. It's like they're perfect. It's like we know we've got a national mission to make Tracy happy, but we're not investing ourselves. We're keeping it mellow, and then we're going to save the warrior spirit for the opening whistle. But back to the football, because the first half was crap, and it really was. It was like a real butcher's shop. It was. It was just like dark arts. A lot of elbows, a lot of face clutching, a lot of floor work, a lot of eye gouging, a lot of two-footed tackling, a lot of shithousery. If we're being honest, it's why we watch, isn't it?
Yeah, it's my favorite version of the game, frankly, Roger.
So, one for the purists. Mexico knew the longer they held on, the longer they nullified the game, turned it into a hand-to-hand battle, the more that pressure, that incredible, just their shirts, the Argentinian shirts, would turn into chainmail. And there would weigh. I did know at the same time to try and nullify Argentina like that for 90 minutes, an entire 90, to have the energy, the wheels, the mental ability to do that. It's a bold, bloody gambit. But what shocked me, though, in the first half, Argentina, Davo, there was so little that was intelligent from Martinez, Di Maria. They all seemed shell-shocked. They didn't up the intensity or the speed of passing. Messi kept dropping deeper and deeper.
Yeah, they looked like a collection of individuals trying to figure out a way to sort it out themselves without playing football as a team.
You just described the US men's national team.
Well, I thought I was actually describing England for a second. It was strange for me in that first half, and we now, with hindsight, we know what happened later. But watching that first half, it was strange to me. I was just watching Argentina, who've been so good for so long in the build-up to this tournament. Certainly, you know, one of the two favourites going into this tournament, and they just did not look like they had it.
XG, half-time, Argentina, 0.06. Mexico, 0.17. There were more yellow cards than shots on goal.
Yeah.
We'd watched 20 fouls, and we watched Messi frustrated, bereft of ideas. Social media was... Social media buried Messi. We mourned Messi at halftime. I honestly thought Argentina needed to sub in Ray Hudson to start commentating at halftime. Because Lionel seemed lost without him, David.
I just put it straight into his ears. I love it.
At Gnavas103 tweeted us, Mexico has CONCACAF'd the hell out of this game, and it's magnificent. And in the second half, Mexico began to essentially play that Roman battle formation, the testudo. It was shield walls up all over lads. You know, poor Chucky Lozano, it was 1 against 5, every raiding party. And Argentina tried to raise their intensity. John Strong, God bless him, tried to hype them every time by giving his goal coming premature ejacu voice.
Oh. Yeah.
But then...
Yeah.
Then... And I don't know how you say shooters shoot in Spanish, Davo. But it happened. Roll tape.
Pelota para Leo. Messi al arco.
Six-goaler.
Six-goaler.
A sick. God bless Andres Cantor.
Oh, amazing work.
By the way, we always say, football on Telemundo is just better. But when you watch that, you realise everything in life is better on Telemundo, David.
Yeah.
You love that goal call.
I love that goal call. And the reason we're showing that rather than John Strong's goal call is one assumes that John Strong has had quite a long time to prepare for this game. He's probably known for about 4 months that he was part of the #1 team and he was going to have this moment and Messi might score in this big game. And, you know, we've worked alongside some of the big commentators. They spend a lot of time writing it. I'm sure John told everybody, don't worry, I've got it, lads.
Production meetings. John, you got the possible eventuality of a Messi goal,
I've got
right?
it.
Yeah,
I've
got some ideas. Just workshopping.
I've got it down.
Yeah,
I've got it down.
Coming up with some, do you want us to help? No, just trust me. Trust me, got this.
I got it. And then the goal came, and John Strong's commentary was, Messi. Sorry, I didn't do that well enough. It's Messi.
You don't need Go-Go USAs to become famous commentary. Just name the, what do you say? It's like going on a train that's passing very fast.
It's like Messi. Everything that John Strong does is like a train going past a microphone.
I watched it, and I know my first thought was what your first thought was, right? Pinaldo could never. Precision, ruthlessness, seizing the moment. I mean, humanly, to deliver for your nation when your nation doubts you, like in an Argentinian Rudyard Kipling poem, Davo, humanly, where does this goal rank for you?
Well, what's so amazing about the goal for me is that is a goal. That is a facsimile of a goal that we have seen Lionel Messi score so many times. It is an incredibly hard goal in any situation. Messi scores that goal way more often than he misses it or it gets saved. But situationally, with all of the pressure of his entire world on his shoulders, his entire life story, his entire legacy going to be met by this moment on what happened when his left foot is going to meet that sphere. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And he Wolf Blitzed it straight into the situation room, Rog.
He did. We're only saying that because Wolf Blitz's own mother is here tonight.
Respect.
I gotta say, to be 103 and be this out this late on a Saturday night is amazing dedication to football. I don't like to be hyperbolic about that goal. The pressure, the crucible of pressure, a whole nation who frankly have doubted him for a lot of his career when he pulls on an Argentinian jersey. I don't know if any of you have read Homer's Odyssey and read the part where Odysseus outwits the Cyclops Polyphemus.
Yeah.
Or in I'm sure you're all like, yeah, Beowulf, when he slays the monster Beowulf. Grendel. Because watching 35-year-old Lionel Messi rifle the ball home when his nation needed it so very, very much, doubt, headlines going through his head, the whole world watching, to me, that is up there in our time with the true epics. It's his 8th World Cup goal, tying for the national record. You talk about goals from that area. He has scored the most since he made his debut in 2006 from outside the area than any other bloke, 4. And the best stat of all, he ended this game as the youngest player ever to get an assist and a goal in one game, and now he's the oldest. And you saw
World Cup. Amazing.
You saw that goal, and you saw a human being just suddenly look psychologically freed, and it felt and it looked amazing. And it would get worse for Mexico because this happened. Look at this. Oh, my God. Enzo Fernandez, 21-year-old. Some way to score your first international goal, David.
I know, it's quite nice. An absolute banger. Hit it so hard. Wonderful goal, wonderful moment. You know, 2 global sports center moments for Argentina in this game. Fantastic stuff.
The kind of arcing drive that are cut out of gold and dreams and rainbows. Ochoa helped it by arching his back to no avail, which is kind of like being posterized. It was stunning. An echo a little bit of the Esteban Cambiasso 2006 goal through history.
Ooh.
And just as lovely was the way that Lionel Messi, veteran Messi, a man who's seen everything, won everything, lived everything, ran over and just nestled his head so sweetly into the young warrior's chest. It was like watching an Argentinian Care Bear who's just really, really bloody good at football. And above all in this moment, I've got to tell you this, I felt, holy crap, this moment, I really felt an overwhelming sense of the deep, global, emotional, cosmic connectivity that we all experience when we witness goals like that. That feeling, particularly after the pandemic, where we're all so alone, we're all so isolated. The world felt so distant outside of our own bloody doors. To share moments like these, and you know that wherever it is, whether it's in Argentina, whether it's in Mumbai, whether it's in Liverpool, London, Rome, Kuala Lumpur, everybody is screaming, losing their crap together, and that is the true wonder of this tournament that we're watching, the World Cup. And on that note, welcome to the Dos a Cero Club, Argentina. Davo, Mexico. What are you thinking? I'm pretty insipid. 2 games, 0 goals. They talk and talk about making it one day out the round of 16, 7 straight exits. And I've got to believe they probably bite your arm off for a round of 16 exit right now, right?
Yeah, they want to get there without a doubt. What you're really saying, Roger, is that goals are quite good in football. We enjoy when the ball goes into the back of the net and we get to, whoa, celebrate. That's a very, very nice thing. Mexico, not really doing the job at this point. They do have that, final day game. I mean, by the way, this World Cup is shaping up to have amazing day 3 games. So really
everyone can get through in this group.
Yeah.
They really can. Mexico can get through with a win, a Poland loss, and a huge goal differential in the other game. Poland, I mean, you can read this. I don't need to read this out to you. Poland through with a win, a Saudi Arabia draw loss. I'll leave it to Alexei. Argentina with a win or a draw, a loss, a draw. But everybody can bloody get through. Let's be candid. But F that. On this day, the headline is... Google it if you're listening on the podcast. Argentina, so much life. 3 points and better goal difference than Saudi Arabia. And games like this are why we watch football. Not just for the tactical battle and the athletic wonder, but I don't know if you know this about me. I'm not Argentinian. But I'm just being honest. But I do love a Malbec, right?
You love the Malbec.
I love a Malbec. I love a Malbec. I love a Malbec. But watching this game, my nipples were set to stun. And when you watch it, you feel like holy cosmic crap. Just surging when we witness goals, moments, emotions like that. For Argentina, think about it. The relief, the narrative, the dreams, the belief, the confidence, all of that had been taken away by Saudi Arabia, right? They were done. We were laughing at them. Ha ha! All that, though, was now back and surging. And back to the national anthem, the Argentinian national anthem. There's a line, which I'm sure you all know, because you watch football as much as I do, which is why I know it. Coronados de gloria vivamos, oyéramos con gloria morir. Let us live, crowned in glory, or let us swear to die with glory. And that's what we witnessed over the course of 90 minutes with Lionel Messi and his team today.
Yeah.
Courage.
People are watching along on Twitch, Rog, and they're commenting as they're watching on Twitch. GeoDad 2016 says, not really of the Twitch generation, GeoDad. He says,
it's Claudio's dad. It's Claudio Reyna.
Yeah, he says it could be Gio's dad. Oh, really? It could be, yeah.
Ask Gio's dad if he's really pissed off.
Well, anyway, Claudio Reyna won't be getting a job at Fox in the near future because he writes, "Can Telemundo do more sports?" I'll tell you, if Andres Cantor is involved, he certainly can. Okay.
I don't think Gio's dad will be very happy with Telemundo when he finds out Mr. Q doesn't make many appearances.
Yes, exactly. I know. Very, very true. We're big on Mr. Q. Google that one as well. Okay, Rog, the other game in Group C, Poland 2, Saudi Arabia 0. Eddie Howe's team coming... Oh, no, it's not Eddie Howe's team. Sorry. Sorry, that was a mistake. I didn't bring a pen. It's not Eddie... No, Oh, Eddie Howe's team, that's Newcastle, not Saudi Arabia.
Not to Davo. Just to be completely...
They play in the Premier League.
There's probably a number of lobbyists in this audience tonight.
Yeah.
We just want to be completely clear. We know that they're nothing to do with each other. We understand Saudi Arabia's a country.
Totally my mistake.
Yeah,
my mistake.
PIF is completely different as an entity. Just don't sue us.
No connection. So
it sucks, though.
A team that Eddie Howe may or may not be following and supporting in this World Cup.
Yeah, Eddie Howe's at home just like, yeah, come on, Saudi. I just got overwhelmed by their style of play. It's nothing to do with...
I just like the colour of their shirts. It's a complete coincidence. A team that he may or may not be rooting for, coming riding that high of defeating Argentina, only to be dispatched by Poland, thanks to a goal and an assist from the hipster's GOAT, Robert Lewandowski. And the save of the tournament from a goalkeeper not named Matt Turner. Wojciech Szczesny, he saved a penalty and then denied the rebound. Celebratory ciggies in the showers for everyone, Rog.
Oh, God. Saudi Arabia took the field with the confidence and swagger that can only be delivered by men who have just received custody of a $460,000 Rolls Royce that Mohammed bin Salman had given them for beating Argentina.
I maintain the best thing that has happened to the British economy since Brexit.
It's the only thing that's happened to the British economy since Brexit.
Fair.
My dad is a judge, and he's currently just doing the leather on the seats. Oh, the whole nation's working on those Rolls Royces.
It's the only work we've got.
No. Takes a village.
All our villages.
Oh, my God. Poland. Tiny Poland. Plucky. Charging down the flank. A jailbreak almost. A nutmeg, a pass, a composed finish. All hail Peter Zielinski. Slightly less composed. The Saudi Arabia penalty from Al-Dasari. Repelled by a fantastic double save by Wojciech Szczesny. Even Arsenal's just mocked and derided former players are just excelling now. That's how good a coach Mikel Arteta is, am I right? Everything. We're living in Arsenal's world, and no, we're not. It's Newcastle's world, isn't it? Let's be honest. Saudi Arabia, that was an incredible double save, though. Just the strong wrists of a Warsaw onanist. And Saudi Arabia... They come back against Messi, against Argentina. They had Hervé Renard, whose favourite David Lee Roth album is Just a Gigolo. That was a guess. I don't know if it is or not, but I put a lot of money on the fact that it is. He just undid. What was his tactical response? He just undid, Davo, another button on his shirt.
I mean, you would.
You would. The players are like, Hervé's gone below the navel. We've got to really up our intensity here. And, he was just surging on the sideline, showing the world that he may or may not have a nipple ring. And his team had lots of endeavour, no real quality. And then a magical moment, 82nd minute, Robert Lewandowski, you son of Warsaw, did this.
I'm not a professional.
Keep watching. Look at him.
Nice. She prepared a line, and she had it ready for when one of the greatest players in the world scored a goal.
Yeah.
Broadcasting.
No, I think her impulse when he scored the goal was just to do what any normal human being would in that moment, just shout, Messi! Lewandowski! The joy of that goal, an incredible goal. I mean, it was a crap goal, but it was a great crap goal.
It was a great crap goal.
Because it was a genuinely beautiful human moment. We watched a man who has won the German title 10 times more than me.
10 times.
I'm gaining on him in my imagination. The Champions League. He's won the Ballon d'Or. He's won FIFA the Best, which is one of the most half-assed named awards ever. I think they gave the intern the job of naming that award. What should we call the award? The best? Trademark that bad boy. But he'd never scored a goal for his nation in the World Cup. And watching this moment, we saw a Polish national legend, age 34, joy for the game of football that we love like a small child. And the relief rolled off him in waves. Afterwards, he talked beautifully And Richie, look at the press conference when you go home. It's amazing. And it was truly beautiful. As Phil Foden would say, that goal was different gravy. A reminder of what this World Cup can and should be about. And for Saudi Arabia, MBS probably going to repossess those Rolls Royces, right, David? I say, we don't have many rules about football, but the one rule that we believe deeply, well, this is the hill I will die on, Davo. Never award the Rolls Royces to the players too early.
Too early.
They gave him
tactical mistake.
They gave him the Rolls Royces too
early.
Way
too early.
I said that to Michele Kang backstage. When you give your players Rolls Royces, wait to the end of the season. Not when they've just beaten Gotham. But it's going to go down as one of the most like, put on those wax wings, lads, and fly straight to the sun. The giving of the Rolls Royces after one game is just, thank you. Eddie Howe's like, where the fuck's my Rolls Royce?
Oh, yeah, it's in my garage.
You get one for winning a game. For Poland, I wrote in our book, Encyclopedia Blazetannica. I can't even say the name of my own book. That's
Encyclopedia Blazetannica.
Thank you, David, for the assist. Sadly, it actually broke my heart. It kind of ruined my dinner. Kind of gave me a crappy night, to be candid. He said it was right ahead of a World Cup, like 2010. He said, we Poles have a defined rhythm of our countryman's approach to World Cups. He said, every single Polish campaign my whole life is the same. We Poles have 3 group stage games, which leads to an inevitable and potent elimination. Match day 1, opening game in which everything's possible. Match day 2, the must-win game in which our team's very survival's on the line. And match day 3, the dead rubber that we in Poland call the game of honor. And I watched this and I was like, this game, please God, will break the cycle. And I want to raise my glass to you, anonymous Polish waiter, wherever you are today, probably drunk in a bar, or probably doing heinous political things in Poland with democracy. Hugging your mates, though, and making memories that will last forever.
Yeah, big game for them coming up later this week, Roger. Okay, on to Group D. You ready, Rog? We begin with France 2, Denmark 1. Oh, we have some French fans here. After opening it...
Does anyone support Denmark here tonight?
Oh.
If you actually enjoy life, you support Denmark.
Yeah, true. After opening up with an emphatic 4-1 win over Australia, France are forced into a good old-fashioned scando scrap. Kylian Mbappe put France ahead in the 61st minute, but just 7 minutes later, Andreas Christensen pulled Denmark's Hygge 11 level. But with just 8 minutes left, it was that man again, Kylian Mbappe, rising at the back post and knocking it in with his Mbappe. France win 2-1 to go top of Group D.
A game between the defending champions and a tactically savvy Danish team like a Huggy, Ricky, Tiki Taka team who'd beaten France home and away in the Nations League. That's European for we don't give a crap about these games. And France... The Nations League is only really deeply meaningful and important when it's played in CONCACAF. France pounded Denmark. The Danish backline bent but didn't break. They frustrated France, unafraid to muscle, wrestle, repel by all means necessary. Mbappe finally broke the deadlock, stole in like some kind of francophone end of Valencia. With a stealth finish, he knocked the ball into the ground so intelligently. It was like watching a player who's watched a lot of Greg Berhalter bounce passes. Confounded a goalkeeper. My God, 30 French goals that was, aged just 23. And it felt like a haymaker of a punch in the moment. The commentators started to talk up, maybe France will defend their title. And they started to, maybe they will go back-to-back for the first time since Brazil in 1962. But God, this Danish team are so robust. They are so collectively tenacious. 7 minutes later, set piece. And by the way, just saying, because I know Greg Berhalter listens to this podcast, set pieces
Oh. I mean, they can be quite important in international football.
Greg, it's just you and me listening. They are gifts at this level that should never be squandered.
Yeah.
America. And Christensen, caught Rabiot fixing his man bun, 1-1. And the goal felt like, I don't know what, I think the French word is, I'd have to ask Derek Ray. I think the French word is chutzpah. It felt like, what, you cheeky bastards. And there was a building stress in the game that was vented by a combination of the two most emphatic exclamation marks on the field. Griezmann, a man so casually handsome, almost like Tess of the D'Urbervilles. Tess was so beautiful, she tried to mask her beauty by shaving off her own eyebrows. I believe Griezmann, I've thought a lot about this, by the way. I believe Griezmann is almost so ashamed of his own good looks, he's trying to, repress them. He wants us to think about his football. And God, did we talk about his football. Look at this arrow to Mbappe. He made this happen. Old Griezmann of the D'Urbervilles. Oh. "14 goals in his last 12 games. David, the question is, what did he score it with?
On how excited he was at the moment that he scored that goal. If he's really in a good mood, yeah, it depends.
People always ask me if there's one rule in football I'd change, what would it be? Maybe instead of throw-ins, have kick-ins, or, instead of draws, have penalty shootouts. But I always say, the one thing I think will make more people watch football than any other is that when you score with your junk, it should count double.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Mbappe, like a French José Zardes. That kind of commitment, only the goats know how to groin your way to glory. That goal, all hail the penis of God, le pénis de Dieu. And France, Davo, they look mortal. Any team with injury lists like that would do. French champions, the first team through the knockout stages. First defending champs to do that since Brazil 2006. For all the talk of their implosion, it's the World Cup of Mbappe, and it is incredible.
Yeah.
Nice photo in the tunnel. Just Mbappe celebrating his achievements with some unidentified American fans. For those of you who are listening to the pod, we just popped up a photo of a really sweaty, happy Mbappe posing with Jared Kushner and his family in PSG kits. And I just say, Qatar brings people together. Everyone is welcome, even Mr. Q.
Surprised Lallis didn't photobomb that. In other Group D action, Rog, Tunisia 0, Australia 1. Two teams with nicknames that sound like Disney franchises, the Socceroos and the Eagles of Carthage. They clashed in the first game of the day, and it was Australia who emerged victorious thanks to a goal from Mitchell Duke, who plies his trade in the Japanese second tier. It's Australia's first World Cup victory since way back in 2010.
So happy for Australia's Mitchell Duke. Plays in the Japanese second tier, scored the game-winning goal, wheeled away, made a J, dedicated the goal to his son Jackson, who was captured on camera doing the celly back to his father. That is what football is all about.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I've been practicing an R for years for this moment, for when I do it for my kids, Roger Jr. But the Socceroos, God bless them, grappled their way to glory. And just look at these scenes in Melbourne, Davo. It's a shame they don't know how to enjoy themselves in Australia, isn't it?
They're learning. All of a sudden, they've discovered beer.
Such a nation of introverts, you'll never sing that.
Yeah.
Finally, fallout from yesterday's 0-0 win against the English. Soccer's coming home. The English media, God bless them, English newspapers, predictably calm and sensible.
Yeah.
As they analyse the 90 minutes.
Yeah.
1 win in 8 games, Davo, 6-2, the win against Iran. I think, Davo, a lot of their anger is the subtext is they can't believe they got outplayed by us, the US, world football scrappy-do.
I don't know. I said this yesterday night. If you remember England's Euro draw in their second game against Scotland, believe me, the English loathe the Scottish way more than they loathe the Americans. That was the most embarrassing thing that had ever happened to the nation. So I don't know. I think there's, English broadsheet newspapers or English tabloid newspapers, casual xenophobia and disrespect to anybody around the world is legendary. And I think they illustrated that pretty well.
The great Meg Swanick reported that Jordan Henderson was asked in the mix zone whether it was time to start taking the US seriously as an elite team. And he responded, we did treat them like that, that's what our dream is, of hearing and being. And it's happening. We've got to stay chill. I love Tyler Adams saying today, we're annoyed we did not win. And the amazing thing is, England are 4 points, top of the group. They've essentially qualified. The nation feels borderline mutinous. We're soaring emotionally. We feel amazing. We're touching the clouds. Yeah, we've got a massively geopolitically so must-win ahead of us. We have 2 points, 1 goal, 2 shots on goal total. We're essentially international level Brighton. We are constipated, and with apologies to Peaches and Herb, constipated, and it feels so good. Yes, Peaches and Herb are here tonight. Their follow-up single.
Peaches and Herb. I love it.
My biggest fear is that for all of our swag, our inability to convert chances is going to become the theme of our campaign so far. It's got to be addressed. This is the most talented group of individuals we've ever had take the field on our men's side. We see the talent, free the talent, Greg. Let our best players play. Play Brendan, play Gio, and let's do this. One last note on America. Huge credit to Fox Sports. Clearly been pumping a lot of creative meat and brainstorming to the task of how they can just pump up the bilious cackery to 11. Hence, they unleashed this on us last night.
What I hear is that England was scared. That's what I hear you saying. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. We played for a draw. No, sorry. I don't play for a draw when we play football. Where's the romance in that? There's none.
Every single American on the show yesterday said that they retained the draw.
Yeah, we retained the draw. We didn't play for the draw.
We just didn't shoot on goal.
By the way, the amazing human part of this clip was Pierre's ability to remove his mouth from Ronaldo's crown jewels for long enough to actually talk. But I want to say I'm worried about Alexi because dude is trying to Iron Man himself through this tournament. He has not left the Fox pundits desk a single time, has he?
He's terrified that somebody's going to say something negative about Qatar. And when he's not there, honestly, this is what you hear. And he doesn't want to leave in case somebody says something which isn't to the glory of that great nation.
It's starting to dawn on me that Alexi is going to return for Qatar in the identical kind of shape that Damian Lewis's Brody was in Homeland.
Yeah.
We simply won't know what side Alexi's on anymore when he gets back. He's going to be like the Mr. Q with Andi. I feel sick as well, Piers. Let's move this show on to something more joyful, you beautiful human being.
Yeah, Rog, we've got some amazing guests here tonight. We want to welcome our first guest this evening, 2 women who are part of a team that has played its part in the DC sports. And the Nats has helped the nation's capital stake its claim as Title Town, USA. They are part of a team that delivered this town an NWSL championship in 2021. We welcome to the stage, from your Washington Spirit, our favorite Michele since Obama, and DMV Zidane, one of your partners in pod on the women's game. It is owner Michele Kang and hometown hero, force of nature, Roger's mate, Andi Sullivan.
Oh, Michele, what a hero you are. What an American story. Born and raised South Korea, came to the United States for school, University of Chicago, Yale, heard of it, where you received a master's in public and private management. Public was not good enough. I'm going to do both. Yeah. And you said your goal was to pursue the American dream, and I loved it. What was your dream when you came here? What were you hoping to accomplish?
I can definitely... Can you hear me? Yeah. I can definitely tell you that owning a sports team was not part of my plan. It was an American dream. It was to pursue my dream of studying and becoming a sort of a global business leader. And at that time, Korea was still a very traditional society where girls and women have to follow their sort of a traditional expectations of going to school, but then get married, have children, and so forth. So that wasn't gonna be the only thing I would do in life. So I wanted to have my own career, and I came to this country. But again, being an entrepreneur as well as owning a sports team, those two things. Of throwing curveball, but I'm enjoying thoroughly of being both entrepreneur and a sports team owner.
Love it. Michele, when did you first encounter association football, and what drew you to it?
So I was going to say something, but I know this is being broadcasted. Is that? Is there something strong in here?
Would you like there to be something strong?
It's very clear, so...
Can you bring Michele both a water and a vodka?
Yeah.
So it was actually after the U.S. Women's national team won the World Cup in 2019.
Yeah.
And there was a celebration in the Capitol Hill. There was a little reception, and I was invited to that reception. And to tell you the truth, I knew soccer was relatively popular among young children and so forth, but I did not know that there was a professional, especially women's professional soccer league. So it's the first time I encountered that the U.S. Professional Soccer League, and let alone...
So that was step one.
The step one. And now there is a team called Washington Spirit in the D.C. area. And then that led to lots of conversations about joining this, the team as an owner, to be a role model, and as a woman and successful business person. It was sort of suggested that I should join and be a role model for young players and so forth.
You ultimately took over this team, the Washington Spirit, and you had to... And you had to battle to take it over. And I want to know, what was your hope, your plan, your vision that propelled you to win that battle?
Yeah, so as I was learning more about the Women's Soccer Professional League, the Washington Spirit, I was just shocked, flabbergasted about the inequity, not only in terms of pay inequity, but the playing conditions and the infrastructure in which our really elite professionals, our soccer players, women's sports players are as elite as male professionals and sports athletes, and yet they are playing under really not a comparable premier kind of situation. And as a business person, I'm a problem solver, and I'm like, this has to be corrected. And so I said, so I'm a business person, so I kind of sort of analyze where are all this inequity coming from, some of the business actually areas, and that's I'm sorry, but that's media, that's sponsorships.
It's all my fault.
I'm sorry. and that there is a solution that we have to bring. It's not just the court, it's not just policy. There's very significant economic and financial solutions that we all have to work together. Fortune 500 companies, sponsors, and all that, the media, and that's what I really wanted to focus on. When I was first asked to join, it was under the premise that, just join, be a role model, get together with the players once in a while and share some meals and so forth. And you don't really have to do much, just be a role model, and the rest is history.
Andi Sulivan, my podcasting partner on the women's game. I gotta say, it's so amazing to be with you in your city in person, because few people know more about this incredible footballing area, the DMV. You were born and raised here. You played for local powerhouses, Bethesda Soccer Club and McLean Youth Soccer. You returned after college to come back and captain your hometown team, and everyone in the room knows this. But for those listening out there on the pod, can you give us a sense of what a singular and remarkable type of town, from a footballing perspective, the DMV is?
Yeah, it's hard to put into words, but just the fact that we call it the DMV, like there's so many different areas, so many different people, and that's always on display in the soccer community. I was always playing with just different groups of people all the time, and it's a very welcoming place to grow up and play soccer. And I loved my youth experience, and I definitely think if I had been anywhere else, I probably wouldn't have grown up to be the player and the person that I am now. I think, like I said, just being able to walk up to a field, say, hey, can I hop in? And there was no one batting an eye. There were people who were looking to include me and help me and push me, from my teammates, my coaches, but also random coaches and players who didn't know me so well.
Powerful. I love it. Okay, we've got to talk a little bit about this World Cup, what we on Men in Blazers call the Men's World Cup.
The lesser World Cup, if we're being honest. Because the real one is happening next summer in New Zealand and Australia.
Andy, the US team heading into a must-win game against Iran after that 1-1 loss to Wales and the 0-0 victory over England. Let's talk about the past first. What have you seen in these first two games? Give us the Andi Sulivan scouting report. Where are we after that draw again, Wales, after the draw against Wales that felt like a loss and the draw against England, which felt like a victory? Where are the US now?
The US are approaching a win that feels like a win. I think we've seen a lot of great things in both the first game and the second game, but we need that complete performance, and I feel good about the U.S. spirit in a do-or-die situation. I feel like that's where we always come to life on both our men's and women's sides. And
go USA.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Can we get a prediction? Look into your crystal ball. Is that it? Look into your crystal dun and tell us. Tell us how this is going to play out.
I think that. Well, actually, I'm going to turn to Michele because she asked me to predict several games in the NWSL, and we never agreed, and she was always right. So whatever I predict won't really happen, and we'll listen to Michele's prediction. But I'm hoping that we get one goal, and then the floodgates open. So I'm thinking like a 3-1 victory.
Michele.
Absolutely agree with Andi.
3-1. Steve.
Print it.
Quick non sequitur, Andi. We talked a little bit on the women's game about the real World Cup, and now we're just 8 months away from the US women's national team trying to go back to back to back.
Wow.
Which, by the way, I interviewed Ovi after the Capitals won the Stanley Cup, and he kept telling me, I said, are you going to go back to back? He kept saying, we're going back to back to back. So when I hear that, I hear his voice in my head and how crap the Capitals were the next season. So but we got to talk about the preparations. It's going to kill me. You're coming off a massive comeback, 2-1 win over Germany. We never doubted you for a second, but we've got to say there was some pressure. That US camp, 3 straight defeats. And when you all broke out after that camp, what was the mood like in that locker room, and what was Vlatko's message to the team?
Yeah, we knew we had to finish the year on a win. We knew that this team is a winning team, and 3 losses is kind of unacceptable. So we knew we had to finish out strong, and I think you saw that kind of edge as the game played on, that we had to dig deeper and find a way to win. So a little bit of excitement, a little bit of relief, because there's a lot of expectation on the team, and we got it done. So there's a little bit of a end of the year sigh from both a club perspective and a country perspective. Yeah, so.
I love a good end of year sigh.
Michele, we want to move back to the club level now. This magic collective you've helped foster here in DC. Andi spoke a little earlier about the football culture in the DMV. What is your big vision for women's football in this city? Dream with us. What does football look like here under your leadership in, let's say, 10 years' time?
So there are a couple of steps. I'm very impatient, so I want to get there in one step, but I know enough. I know enough that we have to do a lot of things along the way to get there. So first and foremost, we're going to invest in the team, right? So we have to put together the best product that all of you in this audience should want to come and watch our game. So that means and by the way, that's why I'm here, to convince all of you to become a...
Yeah, we are locking the doors.
Yeah.
And we're not letting anyone out until we've sold 250 season tickets.
Season tickets.
To each of you, 250
Yeah, 50
each.
each. And we need a tribute from each area in the DMV to be held as hostage until we achieve that goal.
We're reasonable men. We're just here to negotiate.
Yeah.
But so that means that we have to make sure that our players are in their best conditions. That means that we have to put together our coaching staff, the research, and a lot of innovative programs. So if you have been watching us, you've seen the kind of people that we're hiring. We're hiring the best performance coaches, the best coach, and it's not over. You're going to hear some more coming from us. So first and foremost, we want to make sure that our product is something that you guys all want to come on Saturday evenings instead of coming to Men in Blazers. No.
By the way, I want to roll over immediately and say we are no competition for you.
Yeah. We submit.
We're tapping whatever we need to do to tap out now.
Yeah.
But keep going. This is amazing.
What are the compelling reasons that they should come and watch our game? I don't want a lot of folks to think that we're some women's sports as a charity or DEI project. I want folks to come and watch. Because it's fun, it's exciting to watch. So that's where our investment is going to go in. The programs, the performance, the training centers, and all those things, and rosters and so forth. So we want to make the best product possible. Then I think that the next part is the commercial viability, right? So as I said, we're not charity, we're not DEI. How do I convince more people to come and watch so that our players feel really motivated and really excited to play? So a lot of commercial viability in terms of convincing a lot of sponsors and Fortune 500 companies. We've been very lucky this year for CVS Health to partner with us. When not many people were talking to us, they really stepped up in women's health and some of those issues. So we want more sponsors to join. But then I want this to be a global phenomenon, right? So women's sports, the reason why we're investing in performance and training women as women, we don't want to borrow men's training manuals and just tweak a little bit. So when we do that, that applies to not only the Spirit, but a lot of other fans, other players in other women's sports. But our goal is to build a global franchise, not just Washington Spirit being known globally, but we want to have a team in England. We want to have a team in Europe. We want to have a team in Asia so that the players can kind of go around. The coaching staff could go around. All the R&Ds that we're going to invest in could be shared across globally. So this is going to be a global phenomenon. And the outcome is going to be we're going to build a dynasty, just like the Lakers has.
I love you. When you said that to me on the phone, I asked you, when I first spoke to you, what are you going to do? And you were just like the Chicago Bulls, the New England Patriots, year after year after year. I want to build a dynasty. I'm not a team owner, but I just want to give you a tip that you didn't ask for. To motivate the players, don't do the $460,000 Rolls Royce thing. So it's just like, it gets a short peak of performance, but then it just all goes to crap. Andy.
What kind of Rolls Royce do you want?
Yeah. By the way, we've just negotiated a lot of season ticket sales. You've got a lot of leverage right now. But Andy, I do adore you. You are one of the most remarkable human beings. Like your own teammates call you Sonny. You bring such joy to human beings in a time of real challenge and a world of chaos. You brought a lot of joy to me while we've been podcasting together over the last year. You played for the Spirit for 5 seasons. You're the team captain in your hometown. You brought home the first ever franchise NWSL championship in 2021. I look at that photo, I was like, God, that must feel just unbelievable. And I wonder, what would little Andi Sullivan, as she's flying into tackles at the Maryland Soccerplex, you've not changed. Look at it.
The face.
Look at it. Same face.
The side-eye in that little Andi Sullivan is amazing. Whoa. Someone's getting the side-eye there and the little hooked hand there.
I'm going to bring back the pigtails this season, I think.
We're breaking news. But what would she think of all that you've accomplished here in your hometown?
Oh, God.
Does this feel like a bar mitzvah montage?
Yeah, I think she would be pretty proud. She used to go. Yeah, it's a good perspective and a good reminder because I used to go to DC United games, Washington Freedom games, Washington Spirit games from that age to when I was in high school and college. So it's always a good perspective reminder that I'm living my dream and yeah.
Can I just say, Nike, I know you're watching, that should be the shirt that the US men's national team wear on Tuesday. Yeah. That's a proper football jersey. Michele Kang, I want to say you are an incredible inspiration. You really are. To all of us who care about the growth of the game in this nation, hear it for Michele. And Andi, you are a force of goodness this world needs so much more of. We raise our glass to both of you with love, for wishes for strength in the face of all that's to come. Let's hear it for Andi Sullivan and the legendary Michele Kang. Michele Kang and Andi Sullivan. And guys, support that bloody team. Buy those bloody season tickets, and I will come down to Washington, D.C., and I will raise a glass with you as often as I can.
Or we won't open the doors.
The person over there thinks Davo's kidding. That's the funniest thing about this. Oh, yeah, I've got to read an instruction. I'm also trying to sign a book. Our final guest tonight. I am a human wreck.
I love mid-tour, Rog.
Yeah. This is like the end of Tour Rog, but we're only a week in, and I'm not quite sure what's happening to me. Our final guest tonight is a bloke who is one of the most powerful people in a town packed with powerful people. And no, it's not Wayne Rooney. If this was soccer, he'd actually be less a manager, more a director of football operations, a gem with so much clout. He was named in Time magazine's top 100 most influential people of 2021, up there with Sudeikis, yes, Ted Lasso himself. But this is a gent with his hands on the levers of power, of which Todd Burley could only bloody dream. But underneath all of that is one thing and one thing only, he's proper football. Yes, America, this is a gent who deep down inside, when you see him furiously tapping away on his phone in those photos of White House meetings, is really, he's just triple captaining Erling Haaland in a fantasy Premier League. Like the rest of us, it's a joy to welcome to the stage White House Chief of Staff, the best Ron since Ron. So one and only, Ron Klain.
Ron Klain, what a joy to have you here on the day after American football's approval ratings must have soared.
Yeah.
After the 0-0 victory against England. Is it true that you first discovered Men in Blazers by watching Roger on Monday mornings on Morning Joe?
Well, no, actually, I was a Men in Blazers fan before that.
Oh.
So there you go. Yeah. No, I'm a big fan of the show, and it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to sit in the seat of a world champion, Andy Sullivan.
Love it. Absolutely.
Hopefully a back-to-back-to-back world champion.
Yeah.
But Ron, I've got to say, it's a joy to have you here. We joked about you checking your fantasy team, but we've only heard rumblings of that. I know you are proper Barca, proper Man City, proper DC United.
Yes.
And when we took a tour of the White House back in July when we were in town, I've got to tell you this, the current White House is filled with so many bloody football fans. So we're just like, Jurgen thrilled me and troubled me in equal measure. What is it about football that engages and nourishes so many people who do what you do?
Yeah, well, so first of all, it starts at the top in the White House. The president has a strong relationship with the men's team and the women's national team. Way back when he was vice president, he led the U.S. delegation back in 2010 to the World Cup in South Africa and got to know the U.S. team and the players and the management of the whole operation. And he's just stayed close to the team since then and, called over to the team in Qatar to wish them good luck before the first game. And then he's also had a very close relationship with the women's team. We've been strong supporters of pay equity at the White House. And we had members of the women's team in 2021 at the White House to celebrate Pay Equity Day. And then, of course, this year he became the first president ever to give the nation's highest award to a soccer player. We've had baseball players win it. We've had football players win it. We've had golfers win it. We've had tennis players win it. But President Biden gave the Medal of Freedom to Megan Rapinoe. And,
Oh, David, please God, within the year, I'll be putting one over Gio Reyna's neck and saying, Gio, you did us proud. But you got into football as a kid in Indiana, right, David?
Yeah, kind of rare for your generation. Into high school until you wrecked your knee. What kind of a player was young Ron Klain?
I was a player kind of like I am in politics, which is I ran into people a lot. Not that coordinated, but a lot of drive and energy and a determination to win.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah.
Studs up Ron Klain.
Yeah, exactly. No question about it.
Ron was Kyle Beckerman before he was Kyle Beckerman. But how about the president? We saw him call Greg Berhalter and the US team right before the first game against Wales. Let's take a look.
shock them all. Keep pushing one another, play as hard as you can, and, you know, for you and your families, your teammates, and the whole country rooting for you.
That's a very nice message, Mr. President. The whole team is here right now. We really appreciate your support, and we're ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. They listened to him. They listened to the president. I love it. They took that coach's brief.
I love Greg Berhalter thinking it was like some kind of cold call. It says POTUS. It says POTUS.
Yeah.
It's coming from like Arkansas, and it says it's me. And maybe I'll answer it in front of the whole team on loudspeaker. But how do you prep him? I mean, I don't know how much President Biden is into football, but how do you prep him for a call like that? Do you have to brief him on Greg Berhalter? You're like, Mr. President, it's 3 Gs. or does...
It might be 7. I'm checking.
Yeah.
Could be 7.
Or does he just wing it?
Look, you know, first of all, he does follow the team, and he does follow soccer, and I think that it didn't take much prep. I will also say the guy ran for president 3 times and lost before he won.
Greg Berhalter.
Yeah, exactly. He lost 4 primaries before he lost his first one, before he won his first one. So, you know, he identifies with the idea of an underdog team, going out there and fighting hard and surprising people and pulling off a victory. So, you know, I think his heart really is in cheering for these guys and you know, definitely looking forward to having him back to the White House after they win a couple more games.
God. We've got to beat Iran, right? There's one rule in football. You've got to beat a team that's named after a flock of seagulls single.
Speaking of, Ron, to some extent, at the White House, you've got to at least be paying attention to football, particularly international football, because of the way it's so interwoven with geopolitics. Let's zoom out a little bit and first talk about sports as a whole. How closely do you all monitor international sport, not just for the athletes and the games themselves, but for the geopolitical implications that accompany these games, these matches, these events?
Well, I think all of us as fans, I think deep down inside would love to separate sports from politics, but I just think you can't. You just can't. I mean, I'm of an age where one of the first big important sporting events, or I remember from my college years, was the Miracle on Ice, when the U.S. beat Russia in hockey. And it was a miraculous game because, you know, we were a bunch of college kids and they were essentially professionals, but also it came at a time of a lot of tension between the U.S. and the then Soviet Union, and it had a lot of political and geopolitical ramifications. And, you know, I think that we're going to see on Tuesday, of course, the U.S. men's national team take on Iran, a country with which we have a lot of differences, and there's certainly a lot of tension there. And a country that itself is divided right now and going through protests. Yeah. And I think the courage, obviously we're all rooting for the U.S. team, but I think the courage of the Iranian team not singing their national anthem. So look, Michael, I think the point is sometimes it is frustrating that sports gets tied up in politics, but also it can bring out the best of us in terms of our political feelings and what we stand for and what we believe in. As I said, as you saw the Iranian team the other day not sing their national anthem, as you saw the German team stand up for LGBTQ rights at the World Cup. So you know, sports is a platform for messages. It's a platform for beliefs. It's a platform to say what we stand for. And I think it's something that I think it's inextricably intertwined. It probably should be. And certainly there's been a lot of political undertones at this World Cup.
There's been a tiny bit of football. The politics is almost an overtone. At the opening ceremony, when you have Gianni Infantino, the president of FIFA, in a...
Was that the opening ceremony?
Are you booing me?
No.
I don't know what we're booing anymore.
That's just the ritual boo for FIFA.
Are you booing the Gianni Infantino sandwich where he sat next to Saudi Arabia's Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman, worst 3 initials since VAR, and I mean, when there's like that is going down in the World Cup, are you guys? Do you guys analyze that? How much are you monitoring it? Does it throw up antennas? What is the conversation around the World Cup in terms of the serious side of political analysis?
Well, look, I think that you hope that these global sporting events bring out the best in countries. You hope that people go there to spread messages of countries getting along, of us improving human rights, of all the things we all want to see happen. There are also places where politics also happen on the side. The leader of our delegation this time to the World Cup is Secretary Anthony Blinken. Tony also himself was a reasonably good soccer player in high school.
He crumbled under pressure.
Yeah,
down the
exactly.
flank.
But in all seriousness, while he was over there, he met with the Qatari leadership, had an opportunity to talk about human rights, migrants, the treatment of migrants, LGBTQ rights, and so these are also opportunities for these discussions to happen, kind of on the side of these gatherings of world leaders.
Ultimately, the US government did decide to send its top diplomat to this World Cup, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, whom Rog keeps telling me is named after Anthony Gordon. Secretary
never lies, and I wrote it into his Wikipedia.
Secretary Blinken did make the trip to Qatar, attended the Wales game. What type of things are you weighing when that decision is made? Who goes? Who stays?
Well, I think a lot of us wanted to go. Look, I think we knew we have Qatar is an ally of the United States. It hosts the largest U.S. military base in the region. As we were evacuating people from Afghanistan, we've got 160,000 people out. Qatar was the country that let us bring people and have them there before we could send them to other places in the world. So it's an important relationship for the United States. It's also important for us to be honest about our differences with Qatari government and Qatari policy, and that especially includes the human rights issues around LGBTQ rights. So sending our top diplomat there was a chance for us to have a discussion about all these issues and a chance for Tony to cheer on the men's team.
And tell him to play bloody Geo. But, well, sorry, I am, by the way, a one-issue voter, and it is Gio Reyna. But now to the good bit. 4 years from now, after this Fire Festival of a World Cup is in the rear view, the World Cup will be hosted in Canada.
Yeah.
Mexico,
yeah,
and right here in the United States of America. When I say right here, it's not.
But
it's not.
But not here in the DMV.
Yeah, I gotta say, seems like you could have pulled a few strings. I kid. I mean, because Washington is too pure. It's too good. It's too noble. God, I got so many thoughts in my head right now. I'm gonna suck them all in, which I've never done before, have I, David?
No, and if history is any guide, they will all come out now, even though you've said you're keeping them all in.
No, I want to know. I'm really straining here. I want to talk about the opportunity, how you understand this incredible moment for the sport in America, but you also will think about it as an incredible moment for our nation as a whole. How do you project forward 2026, the World Cup coming to these shores again, as it was in 1994? How do you guys analyze it, think about it? What kind of an opportunity do we have as a nation?
Well, first of all, I think we have the opportunity to win the World Cup here in North America when it's here. I think you look at our team, how young it is 4 years from now. It just feels like our moment, our time, our place, our home, our chance to win. But I would say it is also a chance, though, for us to kind of show off not just the United States, but North America as an important region in the world for soccer. I don't know how many teams CONCACAF's going to get in that tournament with 3 home teams, but maybe more. But look,
I think it depends. It's 4.5.
And Tobago, St. Kitts and Nevis. Yeah.
But I do think, look, I think when this proposal was put together by the United States, Canada, and Mexico, one thing we wanted to highlight is the close relations between the 3 nations of North America, the kind of the regionalism of North America, and the growing power of soccer in North America. And I think that
NAFTA.
Yeah. Kind of the NAFTA. We don't. It's now USMCA, which has replaced NAFTA. which yeah, I think is Mucka. But
USMCIA? USMCA.
Mexico, Canada.
USMCA. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
It's good. We'll work on a song.
We've got a certain amount of branding work to do before 2026. But no, I think it's a great thing for the region. It's a great thing for North America to come together and do this. And I think it's going to be a fantastic World Cup in 2026.
Here. Okay, we alluded to it up top, but we've sort of buried the lead on this one, and that is for a reason. That is because to tell your true football story, we're going to need some help. So we want to bring to the stage the reason you are now traveling on the river football. Let's bring on your son, Danny.
Yeah.
Danny. Come on, mate. We brought Danny on for a reason, because the Klain family, this is kind of amazing. So when I started doing Morning Joe, I used to go Morning Joe, and like the second time I was on to do the Premier League thing, which by the way has no reason to be on Morning Joe at all. Like, I'm completely aware how ridiculous it is that I do Morning Joe. So the first time I did it, I did the thing. It was great. Joe loves football, proper loves football. And then the second time I went on, Donny Bloody Deutsch was on. And he's like, Joe's like, talk about the Premier League. And Donny Deutsch is like, whoa, live on air. Why are we talking about the Premier League? It's like not American. And I was like, not really used to doing television, but I was slightly angry at this prick. And I was like, and I said, Donny Deutsch. I don't know where this came from. I said, Donny Deutsch, do you have grandchildren? And Donny Deutsch like flinched. She's like, oh, yeah, I do. Why? I was like, because this conversation is not for you. It's like for an audience that's 20 to 30. And I know when you grew up, you played stickball in Brooklyn and all that crap. But the world's changed. And then I was like, and now to Manchester United against Arsenal. And Donny Deutsch, like, I crapped on him. I did. And the next week I was about to do my thing. And Tom Brokaw, I'm like, the Premier League. And Tom Brokaw goes, whoa, 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 whoa. And I'm like, what? He goes, why are we talking about this when we have the NFL, we got American sports? And in my head, I'm like, do I do the Donny Deutsch black belt jiu-jitsu thing? But I'm also like, it's Tom bloody Brokaw. It's like, to me, like, the Queen, you wouldn't take the piss out of the Queen, even though I don't believe in the royal family. I'm like, I can't. Like, so I just sat there where Tom Brokaw crapped on me for 5 minutes on live television, and I genuinely walked off the set of Morning Joe as if I'd just, like, complete nutty crapped in my own pants live on television. And I thought they were never going to have me or football on television again. And they were like, see you next week. I was like, why would you want me on again? I'm not doing this again. And they were like, no, it's great. The ratings are great. I'm like, cool. I was like, I'll never go on with Brokaw again. Ever. Just one rule. When you're on, get Brokaw off set. I don't want to go on with Brokaw. They're like, cool. So every time I go on, there's a point to this story. Every time.
By the way, Rich, you say that as though that's been necessary for this podcast over the last 12 years. There doesn't need to be a point, Rog. It's okay.
So every time I'd go on, a Brokaw was on. Like, I'd walk onto set and they'd be like, Tom, can you come and maybe get a coffee with us over here? Brokaw would be whisked off. And then 3 years later, like, they threw me on set. Brokaw was still sitting there like the king of Brokaws. And I'm like desperately trying to be like, get him off. And they're like, 3, 2, 1. And I'm like, and they're like, and it's Roger in the Premier League. And I'm like, oh, Everton lost him. And Brokaw goes, whoa. I'm like, what? Tom Brokaw, what? What could you possibly bloody want? And he goes, I used to hate football. And I said, I know, Tom, you've told me. I'm mentally traumatized, scarred by it, you bastard. And he goes, but now I love it. I said, what? And he said, I know the number of son-in-laws. I just can't remember. I won't be clear. Tom Brokaw's not the kind of guy that's like, I don't know how many I have.
3 or 4. It's a lot.
It's hard. It's hard when you keep up with things. He said, I have multiple son-in-laws. And he said, one of the joys of our life together is we fly every Christmas to England. We can take in 6, 7, 8 Premier League games together. boys, he said. I remember that, boys. And the amazing kicker live on television, he goes, and we fly, coach. And I thought, holy crap, when we in America have got Brokaw, football is real. We've won. When we got Brokaw, football is definitively American. And you guys...
Oh, here we go.
You guys have been...
Danny's here, Rog.
You guys... Danny.
He turned it.
You guys...
It's like a big ship.
Back to Brokaw. Now I've got to pull Donny Deutsch back into this story.
Okay.
Danny, you guys go over. I mean, you've just got back from 10 days in the UK where you saw 8 games, including your beloved Manchester City twice. I mean, you guys go over there.
Oh.
Are you booing the United Kingdom or Man City? Because it's hard to tell that. What is it in your family? You know, we used to have the Queen, Downton Abbey, and the Empire as perceived strengths. We now have beers, pies, and football. What is it that you guys savor when you go over there together and take in all these games?
Well, thank you for having me. I would say we have to give a lot of credit to my father, but I think we're missing one key element in this is my mom as well. She is a proper footballer. She, back in her youth days in Georgia, was one of these 6 women's club teams traveling around the country, seriously trying to compete and play against other teams in Texas and whatnot.
I love it.
And she was my brother and I's rec coach for 12 years. The first and only coach I had for the first 12 years of my life, you know? So she is a key, huge element of like our passion for soccer, the reason we're playing today. No offense, Dad, but so I would say...
I'm picturing your parents' first meeting, that they both went in studs up into the same tackle.
I don't think my dad definitely had to go in kinder for that tackle in order to woo my mom. So, you know, she's a very lovely lady. But yeah, I would say it's a whole family thing. It's not just one of us getting our parents into it. It's our entire family really celebrating it, enjoying it, and it's a full family affair.
But when you go over there, David and I have been trying to encourage Americans to go on these Premier League weekends to England for the longest period of time. You make memories. It's joyful. You experience, like, what is a Burnley? You get to see what a Burnley is up close. What's the one memory? I mean, I know you've gone over as a family. What's the one thing that you, like, savor, the memory that you've made from going over there?
There's a lot to choose from. As you mentioned, I just went on this trip. I went to 7 games in about 2 weeks. I got to see everything from Queen's Park Rangers Reading game on a Friday night in the rain.
Super hoops.
Which is just as raucous.
It's pronounced raisins.
Yes, and you cannot move, and it's just so, the crowd is just, it's so much energy and so in one place, and it's so small. You just feel like you're all right there standing on top of the field. And I was fortunate enough to go to Manchester City games, as you said, which is this giant global stadium. You see people who have all clearly come in from around the globe to experience it. And so I'll just go back to the simple fact of, as a Manchester City fan, I got to see them trounce United 6-3 at the Etihad. That was quite spectacular. Nothing like that.
I like it.
Just beating your rivals. It's really satisfying.
Danny just went in studs up on half the audience. I like that. Ladies and gentlemen.
Let's talk about the state of our nation. We're about to play the Iran game.
He cued me to go to my bit, and then he went back to his question.
It looms large.
Impossible.
We've got to know, the Iran game, it's a sequel. 1998, politically fraught. Iran, as you say, still a realm of chaos and pain. From the both of you, can we get a prediction for the Iran game? Because if anyone knows how this most geopolitical World Cup has been scripted, it would be you, Ron Klain. Put us out of our misery. What's the score going to be on Tuesday?
Well, I wish it were scripted, but no, I'm very confident. I think around 1, US 4. That's my prediction.
Whoa.
I think we got so close so many times in the second half of that England game The goals, the potential goals have piled up. I think they're going to rain down on Iran on Tuesday.
Danny, you know your dad well.
It does require shooting at the goal. It's the only... I believe the US are going to win, but it requires shots on goal.
I've got to say, I do pray that when President Biden made that call as part of the video that wasn't released, where he said, listen, guys, listen to me, I'm the president, don't listen to your coach. Play Gio, play Brendan, get on that field, trust yourselves, F tactics, do what you did on the field, in Wappingers Falls, in Texas, just be yourselves, lads, and let's crush those bastards. But it's just me. It's just me. Danny, you know your dad. When he says 4-1, I just need backup. Does he know what he's talking about?
He definitely knows what he's talking about. My dad, he's the realist between the two of us. So if he's being realist with 4-1, you know, that's a confident prediction.
You're going 9-0, is what you're saying.
To Iran.
that would be fitting, honestly, wouldn't it? I don't know. It's going to be so tough. You want to have hope. It's just, it feels like with soccer, I can see on Roger's face, when you have hope, that's when it crushes you the most. And so,
yeah.
I want to, but I can't say they're not going to win. I can't. They're going to win. They're going to win. What the score is, you know, who knows? It could be. We'll go a safe but win 2-1. 2-1.
I like it.
2-1.
It's fine. A win is a win.
A win is a win.
3 points are 3 points. Ladies and gentlemen, if we weren't on the Secret Service's radar before, we certainly are now. Can we get a massive DC round of applause for the one and only Ron, Klain, and Danny?
Thank you.
Oh, bite your arm off for 4-1, Dave. I can't tell you.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. It's going to be fascinating stuff, Roger.
Fascinating. Honestly, it's like genuinely, we've got this. What's the name of the people who make underpants that give us sponsorship for the podcast?
Tommy John.
Yeah. Genuinely, I
am luxuriating in my Tommy John underwear right now, Roger. It's like...
Oh my God! It's Tommy John himself in the audience.
I'm luxuriating?
I'm wearing sandpaper underpants. I just want you to know,
it's like being at the Andy Cohen show.
I got the sponsor to send me 12 extra pairs for this game on Tuesday. I think we need to buckle up, we need to dig in, and we need to be prepared to just woof. This is going to be a battle of underpants.
I got to say, I told you this, Roger. I went back and I watched the game again today.
The England game?
Yeah, the England-US game. And I thought what really occurred to me, there becomes this narrative the day after the game. There's this sort of English narrative, which is like, we're so bad, we're so terrible, we're awful, we didn't play with any energy, we were listless, we were awful, we didn't bring it, Southgate out, let's give it up and just all move to Mallorca. And then the American narrative, to some extent, becomes, wow, we had them scared, we had them listless, they were terrible, we dominated them, we killed them in every area. What was interesting to me, and I think the most encouraging thing for the US, is watching it again, I actually thought both teams played pretty well. England played better than I remembered in that game, but the US played better. They didn't 0-0 win against a terrible team. They 0-0 win against a very good team who were actually playing pretty well, but at certain points couldn't hang with them. The scary part was on 66 minutes, Gareth Southgate reacted first and made the substitutions, and I think to some extent the US got a little fortunate when Harry Kane missed that header, which I think a lot of people expected him to go and make at the end of the game. In the game on Tuesday, Greg Berhalter must react first. He must be the first to react, not the second to react.
He must either react first, or when he feels his cell phone in his pocket ring in the middle of the game, and he looks at it and it says POTUS. And it's Joe Biden phoning up to say, make some substitutions, man. Make some bloody changes. All we can do is believe. I will say I draw a lot of strength from the mental focus of this team after the way. It can debilitate a team, what happened in the Wales game, where they were just dancing. They were doing great dancing moves. There was a moment where Yunus Musa in that game in the first half against Wales ran through the centre circle and did a back flick with the ball for no bloody reason other than just bants, memes, TikTok. And that kind of thing can come back to haunt a young team. And they showed an incredible tenacity, an incredible collective perseverance. I will say this is, as I've said, the greatest, this stupid conversation. Is it a golden generation, not a golden? It is the best group of individuals we've had on the men's side. And if we have a coherent idea of football, we will be okay. I'm not a positive person. I'm not an optimist. I'm both English born and Jewish. So I've got a double dose of self-loathing. I'm filled with fear. There's a Cossack behind every door. Everything I want to happen in life, just there's no point in me even announcing what I want because it will turn to ashes in my mouth. But my God, I want this so very badly, as I believe every single human being who loves the game. We love victory. We love glory. We have a women's team that's delivered it over and over again. We want a men's team that can create the patina of hope, and that's what we want. I'm now starting to get into campaign rally mode, so just calm it down. Tell us where we're going, Davo. We love you. We're completely blown away by this DC joy. The world is dark, and it's full of chaos and fear. The World Cup is a joy. The World Cup has been perverted into a grotesque. It's been buckled out of all. I mean, by the way, they started doing this in 1934 when they gave it to Mussolini, so let's not pretend it's a new thing. But I will say, we wanted to try and make American joy and American memories even amidst that, and to be with you tonight and to share these memories and to talk it through and process it, it really is. It's the honor of a lifetime, and we want to raise a pint with you. Where, Davo?
Yeah. Can I just tell you where we're going first, Rog? Iran are going to score, but the US are going to score more. That's my prediction.